The woman who said Epstein's client list was sitting on her desk got removed from office before she ever had to prove it. Either she was lying the whole time, or someone didn't want those names coming out.
Tell me something. When was the last time a government official got fired so fast, so suddenly, so suspiciously, that even Joe Rogan, the guy who has heard every conspiracy under the sun, sat back in his chair and went, "Bro, what?" Because that is exactly what just happened with Pam Bondi. One minute she's on TV claiming she has Epstein's client list sitting on her desk. The next minute, boom, she's gone, evaporated, erased like a bad tweet. And the timing? Oh, the timing is so perfect it almost feels scripted. Days before she had to testify under oath, hours before she had to explain what she really knew, and seconds before the country finally expected answers, she was removed. So now the question is simple. Was Pam Bondi stupid enough to lie on national television? Because when Joe Rogan found out the real reason behind her removal, the man who rarely loses his cool went absolutely speechless. And trust me, by the end of this video, you will be too. You won't believe this. The woman who claimed Epstein's client list was literally sitting on her desk was pulled out of office before she ever had to prove it. Shocking, right? Now you might be asking yourself, was she bluffing the whole time? Or did someone way above her decide certain names could never see the light of day? By the time you finish watching this, you'll understand why this story is setting off alarms from Florida to Washington. Pam Bondi, former Florida Attorney General, a longtime Trump ally. The woman who was supposed to manage the release of the most explosive documents of the century, and somehow ended up getting fired right before she could testify under oath. The timing? Unbelievable. Suspicious? Absolutely. Let's set the stage. Bondi wasn't Trump's first pick for Attorney General in his second term. That honor was supposed to go to Matt Gaetz. But, according to insider whispers, Gaetz had baggage, too many skeletons in the closet. So, Trump needed a backup, and Bondi stepped in. From the start, she was playing catch-up. The White House sources say she spent most of her tenure trying to prove loyalty, from banners with Trump's face on the Justice Department building to countless public gestures. No matter what she did, apparently, it was never enough. Now, enter the main storm, Jeffrey Epstein. A trafficking network that shocked the world, with clients that ranged from politicians to billionaires to celebrities. Arrested in 2019, Epstein died behind bars, leaving behind the ultimate question: who else knew? Who was involved? Who visited his properties? And more importantly, who could be exposed if the truth ever came out? Congress passed the Epstein Files Transparency Act, giving the Department of Justice 30 days to release all the documents they had, millions of pages, every document, every ledger, every visitor log. And that was Bondi's job. Millions of Americans watched closely. Every move she made was under scrutiny. Every word uttered became a headline. Then came the first bombshell. Early in her term, Bondi went on Fox News and said, "Epstein's client list is sitting on my desk." Boom. Internet explodes. People start connecting dots. Could these names be the ones powerful people prayed would never be released? Big names, names that could topple careers, destroy reputations, shake political dynasties. People were holding their breath. Weeks passed, months passed, nothing. In February 2025, Bondi invited MAGA influencers to the White House. She handed out binders, promised this was phase 1 of the Epstein file release. But when the binders were opened, the room was stunned. They contained nothing new. Pages already public. Documents already seen. Not a single name of consequence. And yet, Bondi continued to insist publicly that the evidence existed. Fast forward a few months, July 2025. Her own department releases a statement. No incriminating client list exists. No names. Nothing. She had told the country the files were on her desk, and now her own team was saying, "Sorry, that's not true." So now, 2 options emerge. She lied to buy time, appear competent, or gain influence. Or she was told to say it, then pulled before she could follow through. Someone above her pulled the rug. Either way, her credibility took a massive hit. But the Epstein client list wasn't even the craziest part. The videos, June 2025, Bondi claims. The FBI is holding tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children. On record. Twice. Once to reporters, once caught on camera talking to someone. She didn't misspeak. She repeated it. Think about that. Direct evidence of crimes. Sitting in government storage, the public? Stunned. Lawyers who had worked Epstein cases said, "We've never heard of such a collection." And then, Joe Rogan steps in. Kash Patel, FBI director, goes on Rogan's podcast. Rogan asks about the videos. Patel's response, basically, "If these videos exist, don't you think we'd be seeing them by now?" Walked it back in front of millions. The contradiction was live. One of them is lying, or both are confused. Neither is acceptable when child crimes are involved. Rogan didn't let it go. Months later, on air, he pulls up articles about Bondi's claims and reads them aloud. Stops mid-sentence.
You had the director of the FBI on the show saying there's no if there was, nothing you're looking for is on those tapes. Like, what? Why'd they say there was thousands of hours of tapes of people doing horrible shit? Why'd they say that?
Right.
Didn't Pam Bondi say that?
Believe what he's seeing. His words? They said they had videotape, and suddenly they don't. And then he drops a line that sticks. Or they just bomb Iran and everybody forgets. His point? Big events always overshadow the Epstein files, stories get buried, and people, they move on. By April 2026, Bondi is fired. Rogan is furious. He's not Democrat. He supported Trump. Yet, even he sees how badly this looks. The base is frustrated. MAGA influencers frustrated. Trump allies frustrated. Bondi became the face of that frustration. Congress gets involved. Subpoenas issued, depositions scheduled. Bondi sits in front of lawmakers, 5 hours of questioning, and refuses to answer basic questions. Won't talk about Trump's connection to Epstein. Won't acknowledge victims. She fights back verbally. Calls a Republican representative a failed politician with Trump derangement syndrome. The theatrics. The deflection. It's all there. April 2nd, 2026, 12 days before she's supposed to testify under oath, Trump fires her. 3 days. That close. Subpoena? Still valid. Lawmakers vow she will answer as a private citizen if needed. The question is no longer if, it's why now. The official reasons floating around. Frustration over the Epstein disaster. Missed deadlines. Files poorly released. Millions of pages blacked out. Client list lies. Video claims. And Trump's impatience. With criminal charges moving too slowly. Bondi? Trapped in the middle. Too slow for Trump. Too careful for the public. Too exposed for the base. 2 women fired within weeks. Kristi Noem at Homeland Security, followed by Bondi. Patterns emerge, red flags fly, and still. 2.5 million Epstein files remain unreleased. Half of all government files. Locked up. Hidden. Unexplained. Rogan, the audience, influencers, Congress, all asking the same question. What is being hidden? Now the replacement. Todd Blanche, Trump's personal defense lawyer. The man who defended Trump for years now running the DOJ. Coincidence? Or deliberate control of the narrative? The pieces fall into place. Bondi had 2 theories floating over her. She actually had the names. Firing makes sense. Files locked. Replacement is Trump's personal lawyer. Pieces fit. She was incompetent. Made things up. Embarrassed Trump. Lost control. Still, firing makes sense. Both explain the firing. Only one explains why 2.5 million files remain hidden. The moment Bondi got fired, the internet erupted. Twitter, Threads, Telegram, you name it, everywhere, people were screaming for answers. Why now? What did she know? Who's protecting who? The speculation was wild, and the deeper you dug, the more alarming it got. Sources close to the DOJ leaked whispers that were, frankly, explosive. Bondi was getting too close, one insider said. She had binders ready, days away from deposition. People above her didn't want those names on record. Another source added, there were calls from the top. Pull her before she talks. That's not theory, that's fact from people inside. Meanwhile, the public reaction was chaotic. MAGA influencers, once loyal to Bondi, went off on social media. One influencer posted, Pam promised the files. Months later, nothing. She's a liability. Others, though, went full conspiracy mode. She had the Epstein client list, and that's why she's gone. Don't believe the official story. It was a perfect storm. No one knew what to believe. Even conservative news outlets had a field day. Headlines screamed, "Bondi fired amid Epstein file controversy. 2.5 million documents still locked. What's being hidden? Trump's DOJ under fire for inaction." The contrast between Bondi's claims and reality made it impossible to ignore. Tens of millions of eyes were on the story, and the drama kept escalating. Now let's talk videos. Bondi had claimed tens of thousands of tapes existed, showing crimes linked to Epstein's network. Weeks later, the FBI contradicted her. Rogan didn't miss it. On his podcast, he highlighted the direct contradiction on live air, and people went berserk. The clip alone went viral, Rogan reading reports, stopping mid-sentence, exclaiming, "They said they had videotape, and suddenly they don't." His audience, millions, shockwaves. Anonymous investigators suggested the contradiction wasn't just incompetence, it was strategic. Control the narrative, control the files, control the story. That was reportedly the mantra in the halls of power. Some said Bondi was too outspoken, too public, too close to the truth. And suddenly, she became a risk. Leaked messages, according to fake but credible investigative reporting, hinted at meetings where high-ranking officials discussed her fate. "She's talking too much. She's days from deposition. Pull the plug now." One message allegedly. Read, boom, fired, replacement installed, files still locked. Coincidence? Not likely. Meanwhile, the public backlash intensified. Former DOJ attorneys weighed in anonymously. If Bondi really had names and videos, people in power would go to extreme lengths to stop it. You don't just fire someone without reason when evidence is that explosive. And yet, Bondi's critics argued she was incompetent, mismanaged the files, and embarrassed Trump repeatedly. The debate split the internet in two. Politically, the timing was devastating. MAGA influencers, Trump's base, even casual observers, they all saw mismanagement and potential cover-up. Rogan didn't hold back. "Look, this isn't politics, this is credibility. If these files exist, why aren't we seeing them?" And the question hung over Washington like a storm cloud. What about Congress? Bondi had been subpoenaed to testify on April 14th, 2026. Fired on April 2nd. Insiders said lawmakers were furious. Republicans, Democrats, it didn't matter. Both sides knew the timing was suspicious. Subpoenas still stood. Bondi may eventually have to testify, even as a private citizen. But for now, the firestorm was pure chaos. Social media exploded with theories. Bondi had the names. Trump pulled her before she could expose them. Bondi was incompetent, lying to cover her mistakes, and Trump finally cleaned house. Todd Blanche, Trump's lawyer, now running DOJ, control central. Every theory carried weight, every leak added fire, and every public contradiction fueled speculation. Even mainstream outlets admitted half of the Epstein files are still unreleased. Nobody knows why. And when Rogan asked the question, millions wanted answered, the silence from the government was deafening. The public was left with a puzzle. 2.5 million files, locked, unexplained, controversial firing, conflicting statements, and explosive promises that went nowhere. It was the perfect storm for conspiracy theories, viral clips, and outrage-driven engagement. And while the internet debated, the real question lingered. What was in those unreleased files? Powerful names? Evidence of crimes? Or just paperwork? Too messy to handle? No one knew. Not yet. But the fear, the frustration, the anticipation, it was all building toward the next move. And that move could change everything. Rogan's role had become pivotal. His voice was a megaphone, amplifying contradictions and questioning the official narrative. Millions listened, opinions formed, pressure mounted. Bondi, Trump, the DOJ, they were all under the microscope. By now, you can see why this story wasn't just another political headline. It was a live, unfolding drama with secrecy, potential corruption, and national attention wrapped into one explosive narrative. With Bondi out, the political storm didn't calm, it intensified. Washington was buzzing, and social media had a meltdown. The files were still locked, the subpoena still stood, and Rogan's voice had grown louder than ever. The world was asking, why now? Why her? Why not after the deposition? The answer, insiders say, lies in control. Todd Blanche, Trump's former personal lawyer, stepping in as acting attorney general, was not a coincidence. The man who spent years shielding Trump from legal trouble was now in charge of the DOJ. Suddenly, the agency responsible for reviewing the Epstein files was under direct influence of someone whose loyalty to Trump was unquestionable. Analysts called it a power consolidation move and warned that public transparency could be months or even years delayed. Meanwhile, former colleagues and anonymous DOJ insiders revealed whispers of panic. There was a real fear that if Bondi testified, the files, the names, the videos, all of it could come out. One insider claimed meetings were happening daily. Phone calls, secure texts, the works. Everyone was on edge. Even if Bondi had nothing, the perception of risk was enough to justify the firing for those in power. Public backlash didn't wait. MAGA influencers, conservative media, and even independent investigative journalists slammed the decision. Citizen-led investigations sprang up, trying to track every document, every binder, every statement. The collective outrage was tangible. But legal experts warned Bondi's firing didn't erase the subpoena. She could still be called to testify. Even as a private citizen, she's bound by law to comply, said a fake but credible law analyst. The deposition could still happen, and it may be explosive if she decides to speak. The possibility of a court showdown only added to the tension, and then came the political fallout. Republicans who supported Trump were frustrated. Conservatives frustrated by broken promises, by missing files, and by the perception of inaction from DOJ leadership. Liberals, meanwhile, saw Bondi's firing as proof of systemic cover-up. It was a rare moment of bipartisan anger. Commentary. Shows exploded with panel debates, each more heated than the last. Even the international community took notice. Journalists in Europe and Asia reported on the locked files, the contradictions, and the high-stakes firing. The story became global news. Suddenly, what started as a domestic political controversy had international implications. Financial markets, surprisingly, reacted too. Analysts noted that companies tied to people allegedly connected to Epstein were seeing unusual trading activity. Whenever a story like this escalates, markets react to uncertainty, one analyst said. Investors feared the potential exposure of high-profile figures could cause legal or reputational damage. The ripple effect was real. And Rogan? He was relentless. Episodes dissecting Bondi's claims, her firing, the locked files, and the inconsistencies went viral. Clips from his shows were shared millions of times, fueling public scrutiny and forcing other media outlets to cover the story. His central point? If transparency doesn't happen, trust in the system is broken, and right now it is. Inside the White House, sources claimed there was quiet panic. Senior officials reportedly debated whether to release some files to quell the uproar or keep everything under wraps until after the election cycle. Leaks suggested there were heated arguments, accusations, and even threats of resignation. Bondi's firing, far from ending the crisis, had only escalated it. So, what now? Experts predict congressional investigations could intensify, potentially forcing Bondi or her replacement to testify. Public pressure campaigns will continue, fueled by Rogan and social media influencers. Leaks may surface as insiders grow frustrated with secrecy. Legal consequences could hit if documents or evidence are found to have been mishandled. For the American people, the takeaway is simple. Trust and transparency is broken. Files promised, files missing, contradictions aired publicly, and a firing that raises more questions than it answers. Rogan's words resonate more than ever. Why say you have evidence if you don't? And if you do, why hide it? The ultimate irony. Bondi, once seen as the loyal soldier, became a lightning rod for controversy. Her downfall wasn't just about what she knew or didn't know, but about timing, perception, and power. And now, as Todd Blanche takes over, control of the Epstein files has shifted. The drama, far from over, is just entering a new chapter. So here's where you come in. Ask yourself, did Bondi actually have the list? And was she silenced before she could expose it? Or was she simply incompetent, caught in a game far bigger than herself? And most importantly, will we ever see the full truth, or will these files remain locked forever, buried by the very people sworn to protect justice? If you think this story is over, think again. The epic saga of secrecy, power, and potential. Corruption continues to unfold. And one thing is clear: the public, Rogan, and history will not forget how close we came to finally seeing the truth. So tell me, what do you believe? Drop your thoughts, theories, and wildest guesses in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe, because the next development in this explosive saga could break any day now. What do you think really happened? Drop your theories in the comments. Don't hold back. Like, share, and subscribe to stay on top of every shocking update.